Hello, hello. Okay. Okay. We're live. Okay. All right. Let me do it again. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devil Experience. My name is Eric. Tottenham 1, Manchester United 0. We've bottled the Europa League final. Absolute disaster for us. I'm really I'm kind of at a loss for words, but at the same time, I'm not because I feel like I got a lot to say. Super disappointed, super angry with the club, the players, the manager, everybody. I'm going to be quite blunt, and I'm going to say it again. I really don't give a shit about the monetization today. It was a shit game. It was a shit final between both teams. I think both teams were shit. Tottenham they got over the line. We weren't very good in any type of way at all. We didn't do enough. I don't respect Tottenham for really the way they played, ultra defensive and whatnot, but fair enough to them. They got a goal. We didn't. They win their trophy that they haven't won in 172 years. So, good for them. Let them celebrate. But it's not about them. It's about our club. It's about our team. And it's about what this means going forward. And it's not a good outlook, really, to be quite honest. I mean, one, we've lost a lot of money today. For that fact, I mean, there's big question marks around over Ruben Amorim's head now and what this means going forward. So, I got a lot to say, but I kind of need a little bit of direction because my head's all over the place right now. So, just before we get into it, we'll do some live player ratings because, I mean, some of the performances today were just absolutely pure garbage. Pure garbage. Disappointing. One in particular, one that I like the most. But I'm going to have to call him out today because it was absolutely diabolical garbage from him today. So before we do that, please make sure you smash the like button because at least if we could get some type of positive there, we get some likes on the channel, we get pushed out there, maybe we'll get some more viewers and we'll get some more subscribers and we'll get some more members to the family in the community. We're trying to get to 3,000. We're at 2,966. That's not updated correctly, but we're at 2,966. So if you enjoy the content, if you enjoy the community, subscribe, hit the notification bell icon. Get involved in the chat, share your feelings, share your thoughts. Everybody has a say here. Doesn't matter if you're new or old. Get involved. I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what the community is feeling. I want to know what Manchester United fans are thinking. So, we'll get straight into it. Let me just go to the chat and, Axe has already pissed me off right away because he said this is what you get, bro. Which I have a huge problem with that. I don't care, if he has something else to say to that, but no, this is not what I get. No. So listen, usually I'm fairly lenient, but I'm gonna be straight up with you. Don't fuck with me today. I'm gonna be fairly blunt. Don't fuck with me today because I'm not in a good mood and I'm very, very angry. And don't direct your hate towards me, please. Don't do it. Don't do it. I don't want to kick anybody out. Don't do it. You can say what you want, but don't direct your anger and hate at me, please. I'm really not in the mood for it today. So Axe says record breaking for Amorim, worst season in EPL, first manager to lose on 4 consecutive times against Tottenham in one single season, first manager who played Casemiro in the final and lost the game. He also said absolutely abysmal. Amorim was a bystander today. Late substitutions, lack of determination in his squad, no game patterns. Well, I do agree. I think he left the substitutions too late. I think he clearly didn't get the lineup correct because it didn't work. It didn't work in any sense, in any way. I think one of the unfortunate things is obviously Rasmus Højlund. Again, he was a ghost. And that Chelsea performance carried on in today's performance. And he's just the first of many that I'm going to mention. It's not all his fault. don't anybody think that I'm blaming it all on Rasmus, because all the players are at fault today. Nobody really had any type of good game. Nobody played good. Actually, a lot of them played very poorly. So, but for me, one of the big things that I noticed, obviously, was when Xerxes came in, he had an impact, and it was better in that sense, in just that sole position by itself. I think it was unfortunate that he clearly couldn't play more than that. We could have, if he was fit, we could have definitely used him. Maybe it would have made a difference, but I mean, there was a lot of aspects to our game that weren't very good, so maybe it wouldn't have, because one player in one position obviously wasn't enough. We didn't do enough. We didn't do enough all over and all around the pitch. We have sacrificed our last games in EPL, yet played like shit tonight. I mean, yep, it's a big problem. Grace says Amorim out. Yep. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people feel that way. Axe says Amorim out. I mean, you guys have been saying Amorim out for weeks now anyway. So, I mean, losing this final doesn't really matter. And it's not like it changed it for you. It's not like you were Ruben Amorim in. Sacked in the morning, he says, no more patience for this baffling baboon. I'm tired of excuses. He deserves no transfer. 6 months and no improvement. Absolutely get him out. Well, I mean, just for the sole fact, I mean, we don't know what Ineos is going to do, but at the current moment, as it stands, they're backing him, and he's not going to go anywhere. So, I mean, you're going to have to deal with that one way or another, because as it stands right now, he will be here for next season. So, Axe says worst of the worst. Stop blaming Eric Ten Hag, Rasmussen, Bruno, etc. Absolutely no tactics. I mean, but no, because they all have a part to play. They all have blame. Amorim deserves his blame as well, but so do the players. I mean, these are the same group of players that got the last manager sacked and played like shit also under him. So, they're not free of any type of blame. Everybody is to blame. We lost together today as a team. Amorim got it wrong. He was in charge, didn't get it right, and we didn't compete. We didn't get over the line. The players were on the pitch. They played the game. They didn't do enough. They're at fault as well. So, Chad says he's going to have fun tonight. Well, I don't know. I don't know how you can necessarily have fun. I mean, we lost. That's to me is the biggest thing. I told you this would be horrible after watching the first 30 minutes of the game against Ipswich. Well, my big thing is, I feel like even though we weren't good and we didn't do enough, Spurs weren't good either. And they were shit. And they scored a shit goal. And I feel robbed. Because at the very least, I mean, they went full out defense to protect a 1-0 lead. That's our kryptonite, because we struggle to score goals. So smart move on their part for that, very much. Smart move on their part, because that's how you completely take United out. Every team that plays ultra defensive and blocks everything, we struggle. We excel when the games are open and we have space, which they didn't afford. They defended quite well, and we were very poor in attacking sense. But, I mean, that goal, to lose a final off of that goal, that shit lucky crap goal, miss kick, deflection, Onana diving like a EAFC 25 goalkeeper. I don't know what I don't know what it was really that I saw. We didn't do enough. I can't say, I'm not saying we deserved to go win, but at the very least, I feel robbed to a certain extent, because I think that was a shit goal to concede. We should have probably never conceded. Dorgo didn't do his thing on defense. Didn't track the man. Let it happen. Let it go in after Luke Shaw. Literally 45 seconds before the goal happened, 30 seconds before the goal happened, Luke Shaw pointed and told him to mark Johnson. And Dorgu, being lazy and half-assed it, and didn't follow him in properly, didn't get goal side, wasn't in a good position, and let it happen. So, again, we've conceded the first goal, which is a reoccurring theme. We conceded a shit terrible goal. It wasn't a good goal. It wasn't a good play from Tottenham. Tottenham weren't even that great in the final. They were just slightly better than us, and that was enough to beat us, which is how poor we are and how shit we are. But, you know, at the end of the day, we deserve this. We deserve this. We deserve this because of how poor and how shit we've been. We 110 deserve this. 110%. We deserve this. We deserve to finish where we finished in the league. We deserve to finish and lose this Europa League because we played like absolute crap and absolute dog shit. So, you know, it is what it is. So, Chad says Ahmad was good. Listen, I mean, there was a couple players that were decently good, but it wasn't enough. It's never enough. If you don't have a team, and this is why I keep saying we have to build a team, we have to get a unit. It's not good enough to have one or two or three individual players playing good because you can't win matches. You can't score goals. You can't get over the line. You can't do the things that you need to do. This is a team sport. I don't know why so many people focus so individually. It doesn't make sense. You know, because 3 of our players played good. That's great. We still had another 8 players on the pitch that played like shit. You know, like, and that's why we lost. And that's why we couldn't do anything in the match. So, Grace says, don't worry, Cunha, here we go tomorrow. Well, I mean, I don't know about tomorrow, but mostly next week. Edward Jr. is here. Says, for me, Amorim's still in. LOL. Well, yeah, I mean, well, listen, whether people like it or not, and that's fine. If they want him out, they want him out. We're not here to change nobody's opinion. But the cold facts is, as of right now, I mean, because we don't know what Ineos will do. They are quite ruthless people. I mean, they could sack him if they really wanted to. I don't know. I don't think they will. And as it stands right now, I don't feel like they will. And I feel like he'll be here for next season. But they could do it. I don't think it's. I don't think it's a far fetch from a possibility. You know, never say never, I guess they say. But I mean, it's kind of fucked up a lot of things for us. You know, we're gonna miss out on some targets now. You know, there was a lot of hope for Gyökeres. I think that chances has gone absolutely down the drain at this current moment in time. I think our prospects look quite terrible because we're not in Europe. We're not. We finished 16th in the league, or you know, we have one more match, so we could finish like 15th. I think, or I guess. But I mean, it really doesn't make a difference. 16th or 15th. Who get, you know, what is the big difference? So, I mean, it's fucked up a lot of things for us. We've lost money. We're gonna have to rely heavily on player sales now, and we're probably gonna have to get or move a little bit differently in the market now. So it's gonna be, you know, sort of a big impact. One of the things that maybe, you know, it's quite too early to say or tell is, you know, some people have floated the idea that maybe we would be better off without Europe and just focusing on the Premier League. And I guess we're going to have to see how that turns out for us now, because that is our future. That is what is coming for us. You know, no Europe at all. I don't know exactly to what extent this means for the transfers. You know, we'll still get Cunha for sure. Gyökeres probably not at this point, and probably not even Osimhen. So we'll probably end up with the lap. Maybe because he actually wants Champions League as well, or even Europa. We're in neither. So I don't know what happens to the striker situation. Maybe we get lucky and we convince one of them to come without it. But I mean, this has fucked up a lot of things for Ruben, for United in general. So, Axe says, we can't hold the midfield at 0-0. We can't run, no tactics, no patterns. Our tactics pass the ball to Bruno and Ahmad. Edward says Garnacho should have started. Well, I have seen that. That's one of the big things. I mean, I did say it was quite a bit. I felt like it was a bit risky, in a certain sense, to start Bruno next to Cass, considering Tottenham were going to go with the 3. midfield, and you know, Casemiro and Ugarte, they got us to that final. And he switched up the starting team, and that's why he got it wrong, because he threw Garnacho out, he threw Ugarte out. I mean, Ugarte didn't even touch the pitch. Garnacho came on late, and I was highly disappointed that at one point I felt like Kobe Mainu should have been coming on the pitch as well, much earlier than he did. And I felt kind of strongly disappointed in the fact that I mean, it's one thing for Kobe not to start, but I mean, for Kobe to come on in the 88th minute, I don't really get it. I don't really understand. I felt like we could have used him much earlier. I felt like he has these sort of big impacts in big games, and I felt like it was a mistake not to get him in earlier. So, and Garnacho obviously had a big impact. Mount was very quiet, did nothing. So, listen, he got the selection wrong. Clearly, I mean, it was quite obvious. We struggled. We didn't do a lot. We didn't do enough. And it was poor. So we're gonna do live player ratings as well. So we will get to that. So stick around if you want to be involved in that. I want you guys to get involved in the chat as well. We have some new chat members in here as well. And don't worry about it. I'm a little bit late on the chat, so if you put it in a chat, I will get to it. I promise. Chad says Bruno can't play in a midfield 3 or 4-2. Well, the thing about, I mean, I mentioned in the beginning of the show, and I guess, since Chad's bringing that up, Bruno had one of the worst performances I've seen. And he's our captain, and he's supposed to be our main big player, and he was absolutely dog shit today. He was garbage. There's no other way to describe it. And he's one of my favorite players. I like him very much. But today, he was absolutely shit. He was horrible in the midfield. He didn't do one pass right. He was terrible. Everything was bad. It didn't work. It was honestly, it was a shit game plan, and it was a shit execution by everybody involved. But I mean, him solely, performance, he really let me down today. He really did, because he had an opportunity, and I've seen many United fan accounts out there, aggregators, big aggregators out there, hyping up and saying, we need to do this for Bruno. He deserves it. And again, I don't hold that position. I've always said, it would be great to see him lift some sort of a trophy, because I still think at the end of the day, he's been an important player since he's come here. He's been a real big, impactful player since he's come here. But it's not about fucking Bruno Fernandes. It's about this football club. It's about Manchester United. It's not about a single player. And, all these accounts are posting that we have to go do it for Bruno. And I'm like, no, we have to go do it for our football club, not for fucking Bruno. It's not about Bruno. Bruno is a player here that has not won anything. He's just a piece of a puzzle. He's just he's not the queen on the chessboard. He's not. He's a replaceable player. And this is the thing. Like, I don't really get that sentiment. I don't really understand. I don't really understand it. Wesley Hall says Onana, Mason Mount, Lindelof, Shaw all has to go. Well, that's another one. I mean, maybe after seeing this today, maybe United strongly considered the goalkeeping position maybe a more of a priority, because the goal we conceded, Shaw was a bit at fault for that, but Dorgu was more of the fault, and Onana was at fault as well, because, I mean, how you let that fucking goal go in, I really don't know. Antoine says, safe to say we have the biggest downfall in history. Well, yeah, I think that's absolutely 100% facts. There's no coming back from this. A lot is wrong at this club. And with this result, we'll go from mediocre players to suit our budget or position. Well, this is the big issue, and it's actually a very good comment by Antoine. This is the big problem we have. We struggle, or we've struggled in the past with getting players in, recruiting properly. We're now in the worst position we've ever been post Sir Alex Ferguson. We have a big issue because we're not going to be able to get certain targets now, which means we're going to have to go and get lesser targets, not the most elite, because a lot of them don't want to come to us because we're not involved in Europe and we've been quite shit for numerous amounts of years. This is a major problem because if we don't have the recruitment, we don't have the players, the people to get in proper players, you can rebuild from this if you do a proper job. It's hard. It's absolutely extremely difficult. It puts us in the worst possible position. It's not a strong position, but it is something that you can do. But with our track record and with these people sort of being new, and we don't really know how good they actually are because they've only been here for about a year and a half or so, and they've only had sort of, 1.5. I count the January window as a half a window. So they've had a summer and a half a window. Now the circumstances are even more tough. If our legs were getting crushed by a rock, we're now completely underneath the rock, and a boulder. And so now, I don't know what happens from here. Usually I have some sort of thought or opinion to give you guys that I feel strongly about, but I feel like at the moment everything is up in the air. I feel like everything is in free fall because I don't know what this actually means for next season, to a certain extent. And a big fear that I have too is, I said this before, for Ruben, there's less time for him now. There's more pressure. There's going to be more anger, more negativity. They're going to have to get things quickly high and going. And if it goes wrong early, forget Ruben, but for the club and for next season, if we have to go through the process of sacking another manager in fucking November, we're going to end up potentially writing the season off again. And we're going to have another shit season. So we are in a very, very bad place because of tonight. And this is, I'm going to be quite honest with all of you. And I don't know why I say that, because I am always honest with you. I might have an opinion and it might be wrong, or it might be whatever it is. It might not be right or whatever. But we like, we're just in a really bad position, because how they're gonna get out of this, I don't know. I really don't know. So I've lost my place in the chat, so give me a second. Axe says just bring Carrick as head coach, Rude as an attacking coach, and Ali as a transfer manager. Yeah, I don't think that would necessarily work. But Chad says Kudus over Bruno, Cuckoo over Bruno, sell him for a nice profit. Well, I've always said that if somebody gives us money, like a good amount, you have to sell them regardless. It doesn't even really matter. Tottenham did everything. Axe's Tottenham did everything required to win, and respect to them. United couldn't do enough to win, period. This is mostly on the manager. But they really didn't. They really, in my opinion, they really didn't. The goal that they scored was shit. And, fair play to them for the rest of the match, for defending well, and being smart about it. That's fine. Fair play to them on that. But in an attacking sense, that goal doesn't go in. It's 0-0 at halftime. We go in, maybe it's a different game. Maybe it goes differently. I really don't think that they did enough in the attacking sense. We obviously clearly didn't, because we did fuck all. But, it is what it is. Chad says the manager can't pass straight for players. Whose tactics is fit for Bruno? Well, I mean, Bruno is still a good player, and he's an impactful player, but, it is what it is at this point. Ray says, for me, is simple point. Bruno played shit and the whole team followed. Well, that is a big problem that we've always talked about. Again, and if you want to blame Bruno Fernandes for it, then blame Bruno Fernandes for it. But for me, every time somebody says something like that, I just really I see it more as, well, that's a fucking issue, because if Bruno plays shit, he plays shit. It is what it is. But at the same time, it's like, well, why is our team built to a certain way where we have to rely on Bruno Fernandes to have a good game? Because that means we're a one-man team. So if we're a one-man team, we're not a team, so we're not going to accomplish and we're not going to succeed in anything. So then that leads you down the path of, well, you have two options. Either get in better players that can do or have a certain impact like Bruno, or you sell Bruno and completely rebuild the team from the bottom up, and start completely 110% over. So Bruno can't play. Oh yeah, see, this is why I went backwards. I went really backwards. Wesley Hall says, how can you play Mount and Casemiro so long? All of these overpaid, underperforming punks has to go. I mean, listen, for sure. I mean, listen, this group of players, they are losers. They are losers. They're bottlers. They're not United players. I mean, that performance for Manchester United in the final, I mean, forget the final. I mean, it's the worst performance, one of the worst performances I've seen a United team give for something like that that's at stake. In my 30 years of being alive, I've never seen a United team do such a thing on the pitch when there's a trophy on the field. So, Axe says being substituted out as number 7 playing for United in a final, historical humiliation. Well, I mean, listen, I mean, if you don't play good, you got to go out. But, I would say the same for Bruno. He wasn't good at all. I mean, Mount was very, very quiet, didn't really have an impact. Bruno was just a mess. And you know what? One of the things that I would say to Amorim is, you got it absolutely 110% wrong in the fact that Bruno was having one of the worst games I've seen him have. He couldn't do anything right. And we have a young guy on the pitch that was probably itching and dying inside to get on the pitch, and his name is Kobe Mainoo. And you should have put Kobe Mainoo on for Bruno Fernandes. I don't give a shit if he's the captain. I mean, he had a really bad game. He was absolutely horrible. And and everything he did, nothing worked for him. He couldn't make a pass. He couldn't make a cross. He couldn't do anything at all. And he still played 90 minutes. And, that's not the correct thing to fucking do at the end of the day. So, Chad says we're so bad if Kobe is not fit. I mean, but technically he is fit. I mean, listen, how can Xerxes get 20 minutes and Kobe gets 2? And Kobe's been back from injury, and he's been involved in matches. So he could have played, but I don't know what it is with Amorim and Kobe. I don't know if he doesn't like him. I don't know if he doesn't know what to do with him. I really, it's one thing that I don't understand. Access Postecoglou won something for Tottenham. Great performance for Amorim. Best transfer in Tottenham's history. Well, it took them 2 seasons. They still finished in the fucking, 17th in the league. So, and they kind of went backwards in the league, but he gets vindicated for winning the Europa League trophy in a one-off game. So, I mean, for them, I guess good for them. Obviously, because they can finally clean off the spider webs off of their trophy cabinet, and actually put something in there. So, Axe says, I've been telling you, Amorim has been doing things wrong ever since his first game. Wesley Hall says, bring on Ugarte for Cass to move Bruno further forward with Garnacho coming on for Mount. I mean, there's a lot of things he could have done. Again, I think he left it too late. He did. He left it too late. He should have made the subs earlier. He should have changed the game earlier. He didn't do it early enough. He left it way too late. Listen, at the end of the day, again, it's the same for every manager. I did it for Ten Hag, and I'll do it for him too. He has to give himself the best chance and the best opportunity to try and succeed in these situations. And if he fucks it up, then he fucks it up. I mean, if he, it's the same thing for Ten Hag. I mean, for Ten Hag, I said in the beginning of the season, you almost lost your job. The pressure's on you. You got to perform. He came out. Team looked like shit from the beginning. We looked behind in the paces from the very beginning of the season. It didn't go well, and he lost his job. And the same thing is now going to be here for Ruben Amorim. We're going to have a difficult transfer window now, even more so than it probably already was. We're going to have to rely heavily on the sales. We're definitely going to have a less of a transfer budget for sure now. And we're probably going to have to do some lesser deals instead of getting, player A. Maybe we'll have to get player C or D, which obviously isn't going to help the situation regardless of if Ruben's the manager or not, because if we sign a player, they're still going to have to be here for the next guy that comes in. So Amorim doesn't have a clue how to inspire those players. Look at Anthony, laugh as much as you wish. He became one of the best players in La Liga. Yeah, I really don't give a shit about Anthony and La Liga. I don't. Not today. I really don't care. Johnny Hill says Bruno is just pathetic as the rest of the players, but our fans will sit there and defend these little rats. No, I mean, there's, for anybody that tries to defend these players, there's nothing to defend. They went out there, they bottled it, they played like shit. They gave Spurs a trophy. They've embarrassed our club to the maximum that they possibly could have ever. Possible. Putting in the performances that they done throughout the season, losing the Europa League final to Spurs, losing to Tottenham 4 times in one season. They're absolute clowns, absolute jokers. They don't belong at this club, and they don't belong wearing that shirt. So it is just, they're just the garbage. Call me in when you wish to revolt against the Glazers. I'm not revolting anything. Axe, you could call the rest of the fan base and get them to the revolt, and then I'll join in. I'm not revolting anything because I have no power and I have no say, and me doing anything is not going to get anything done. So, Chad says the way Bruno gets lorded, you would say he's up for knighthood. Wesley Hall says Onana doesn't know his own area. Where is he supposed to be off his line? He sits there. When is he supposed to be on the line? He comes out. I mean, no. I mean, he is a problem, and I would if I could speak to people at the club, I'd be like, you have to seriously reconsider the goalkeeping position. It's obviously clearly, the whole match, I was nervous that this guy, I mean, first of all, he was all over the place. He was all over the place. I was afraid that he was going to make one of these giant fuck-ups today. And I was like, today of all days, you can't do it. You can't do it in today's game because it's a one-off game. And we can't afford him. So, it is what it is. X says exactly, sack him now. I skipped Edward Jr. Edward Jr. said the first goal, Onana should have saved it. Honestly, he should have. Well, I mean, it was the only goal. But no, I mean, yeah, he was at fault for it too. But I mean, his performance was something that was like, he was all over the place. He's coming out, not 100% sure. That one chance that they had, that Mazawari thankfully was there and got ahead to it. If Maz wasn't there or he didn't get to the ball first, that's a goal. I mean, he came out, was unsure of coming out, which you can't do as a goalkeeper. Got it wrong, was out of the goal, was out of position. And if it wasn't for Maz, Richarlison would have scored that goal. So, Axe says, let's get the transfer window to Carrick and back him in. But this is the thing, like, getting Carrick in, like, I think it's just nonsense to me. It's nonsense. Again, the club is at a point. I think you're missing the point here. We're still going to struggle. We're still going to have big issues because we don't have a squad. We have to build the squad. This group of players are clearly not good enough what we've done over the past 3 seasons has clearly led to this point as well. I mean, the recruitment was shit, and the squad we put together is shit. We dismantled. Let's put it this way: Ten Hag finished third with the team that he took over, and then we made 2 more summers of changes, and we went backwards from that point. So we dismantled and fucked up a team that actually finished third, and we managed to make them worse by removing players out and then getting in players that clearly don't go together. So we've done bad in all points. Antoine says, at this rate, we're not going to simply write off the season. We'll be fighting relegation next season if Ruben had a bad start and ends up being sacked. Well, I mean, we don't know exactly how to go, but it's not a good position to be in, because if Ruben starts off the season and it doesn't go well and he ends up getting sacked, it then depends who they get as manager and what happens from that point. Maybe things turn around, but we've seen how things, it doesn't necessarily mean things will turn around. And our squad, our issues at the club are much deeper than just the manager. It's a lot more than just the manager. So there's no guarantee that just by switching the manager, things will necessarily improve. It's a big problem. They have a big sort of decision that they got to make, because do you sort of go down the same path sort of twice? I mean, obviously they want it to work because they've made this decision and they need it to work, but they have a decision to make, because it could kind of repeat itself. I mean, at this current moment in time, the season is over. There's 1 match left, but the season is over. They can choose to keep Amorim. They can choose to sack him and get somebody else in. If they don't sack him, they keep him, and we go into next season, and it doesn't go well, and then they have to sack him in November or December or somewhere in the middle of the season, we could have a repeat of the way things have gone, depending on who they get in as well. Nobody knows what manager they would hire after Amorim. Everybody could shout and scream, get this guy and get that guy, but at the end of the day, you're not in charge, and you don't have any influence over them. So just because they sack Ruben Amorim, they could get somebody that just does just as bad or not good enough, which means that the season will still be fucked. So Jeff Hutchinson says, to be good at the job, you need the right tools. Back Amorim in the summer and we'll cook next season. We'll be a lot fresher not having European football. Well, I agree to a certain extent that, I mean, again, I look at the dynamic of the squad, and the squad is clearly shit, and the squad is clearly poorly put together. And that has nothing to do with Amorim, because he hasn't put the squad together. So he's using, for a lack of a better term, he's using fucked up tools, which doesn't make his job any easier. He's made certain decisions that he's said from the moment that he's come into this football club that he's willing to die on that hill. And I respect that. I mean, listen, if you go down that path and you die on that hill, you die on that hill. He's been quite clear and he's been quite straightforward about what he was going to do. And, he said that shit was going to be difficult. And that's because he knew it, just by looking at the squad and what he's got. So, is it the right thing? I mean, for him, it's the right thing because he's doing what he believes. But, I mean, it's going to be quite difficult to kind of get him the caliber of players now that he probably needs to have the best chance of success for next season. So, Axe says, I've had enough of this pain. I will be back in August. I will still be on Amorim out by then. Well, I mean, that's up to you. You're allowed to do that, so that's fine. Yeah, we'll see you in August, Axe. Wesley also says Mount was one of the biggest wastes of a purchase. I mean, but at the same time, I think it was sort of again, I put that on Amorim. You know, listen, Garnacho played a lot of games. I know he wasn't the most. I know he could be quite frustrating, and maybe he wasn't executing to the highest level at a certain degree. But I mean, Mount just came back. He hasn't played a lot of football. Garnacho's played a lot more. Garnacho's been involved in a lot more. And I said this. I said, you know, I had a feeling that Amorim, he doesn't really like Garnacho. And he's used Garnacho a lot because we were at a lack of options. And it was quite clear because the second Mount was able to play more minutes and actually start matches, he tossed Garnacho aside and put him on the bench. And that's 2 games in a row that he didn't start. And clearly, it didn't have the same impact. I mean, Mason Mount coming off the bench had a bigger impact than Mason Mount starting. You know, and Garnacho, you know, came on and did his thing. And I was hoping that maybe, you know, he would get something, but it wasn't enough and it was too far, too late, and too little. So it just wasn't, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't good enough. I think if Mason Mount stays fit, I still think it's to be determined if it was 100% a waste of money on a purchase. It could very well be because, you know, again, that's from the prior recruitment team. And they are, I mean, if we took the time to go through all the players that we transferred in and under the previous regime that was in charge, and we got the full list and we went one by one, you know, their rate is like 90 to 95%. They got it wrong. They fucked it up 100%. You know, they have one of the worst recruitment records in the history of all of sports. So, and Mount is part of that. So he could very well be another one that is a big waste of money. Because, you know, Wesley, when you say Mount is a big waste of money, there's tons of players that are big waste of money. I mean, tons. I mean, we could go through it. You know, we could do a whole show on it. It would take us an hour and a half to do it. And that's how bad it is. And we won't. I'm telling you guys now, regardless of the manager, I know the manager is important and he plays a part. And, you know, we got to get that aspect correct as well. But we won't go anywhere and we won't do anything and we won't get better until we sort the recruitment out properly, for sure, 110%. No manager will ever have a decent chance at this football club until we sort the recruitment out at this football club. And until that day comes, everybody is going to fail. It doesn't matter who walks in through that door. It doesn't matter. If we don't get the recruitment right, if we don't fix that aspect, no manager is going to ever stand a chance, and they're all going to get sacked, and they're all going to fail, and it's all going to be misery going forward, unfortunately. Rajat's here as well. Says now that Leon comeback means nothing. Well, it does. I mean, it was all for nothing because we didn't do the most important part, which was at the final to get the trophy. You know, it really no, but it. You know, Chad's laughing at it, says the Leon comment, but I mean, it's true. It's 100% true. I mean, it was literally all for nothing. It means nothing. Because at the end of the day, after this weekend, when we played the final match, Manchester United, this season, have done nothing. We finished 16th to 15th in the league. We have nothing. We have no trophy. We have no Champions League. No Europa League for next season. We have nothing. So everything that we did to try and win this cup was for nothing. We've royally fucked it. I was waiting for Maguire on the wing. I mean, we could have used it. I mean, you know, speaking of the wing, I mean, Delo, for as much as people don't like him from the last time we chatted about it, why was Delo the only one that came in and was able to put in fucking decent crosses? And this is why I say I kind of rate him in the current squad. I mean, I was screaming the last, whatever it was, you know, 5-7 minutes of the match. I was screaming and saying, just keep giving the ball to fucking Delo. Because he was the only one that was putting in good crosses, that was actually getting some type of a decency of a chance. And I was like, if Delo keeps putting in crosses, maybe we'll actually get a decent header. We had an opportunity. Vicario saved it, but you know, too little, too late at that point. Too little, too late. Too little, too late. Wesley says exactly who cares about Anthony, Rashford, or Sancho at this point, really? I mean, no, but you know, it's to the point of like, you know, he's talking about motivation, and then at the same time he's mentioning a player that has gone to a different league, playing for a different team at different standards, and at a different level. Like it's not the same. Like it has no, you know, Anthony going there and playing good has nothing to do with fucking motivation, because he speaks about motivation for Amorim, but you know, Anthony was Eric Ten Hag's player. He played for him at the club that he came from, and he was still shit. So it's not about Ruben Amorim's motivation. That's why it's, you know, it's fucking nonsense. Really, it's nonsense. Chad says, Pog back. No, please. When you leave your ex and things go worse for both of you guys, it means you should never part ways. No. I mean, I know we're at the bottom of the barrel here. We're at the bottom of, you know, we're in the depth of hell. But no Pug back. Wesley Hall says, and most of all, it was obvious that he, Onana, doesn't communicate with defenders. Well, I mean, again, another excellent point, Wesley. The lack of communication, the miscommunication, not just him, but all over the pitch, you know, is quite fucking baffling. Players not speaking to each other, not calling out, not working together. I mean, it's a real issue. The squad is highly dysfunctional. The squad is absolutely fucking broken. You know, and the amount of mishaps that were going in the back because Onana and people aren't, you know, defenders aren't, you know, there was one instance where Euro put out the ball, or Dorgu, it was Dorgu, I'm sorry. Dorgu put out the ball for a corner with no pressure on him, and Shaw and Onana are yelling at him 2 seconds before he fucking goes to kick the ball. Like, the guy's not a robot. You didn't open your mouth earlier. There was, you know, it was too late, and he puts the ball out, and then now you're pissed at him, you know? So, like, just all over the place. And even in the middle of the pitch, you know, players just fucking things up. And even in the box, you know, between Garnacho and Casemiro at the end, when Garnacho tried to do a bicycle kick, both Casemiro and Garnacho tried to go and do it. Neither one of them communicated properly. Neither one of them trusted each other. There's an ultimate dysfunction between this group of players. There's no chemistry. And, you know, somebody like Axe will blame Ruben Amorim for it, but I've seen this under Eric Ten Hag. So with the same group of players. So for me, it can't just be the manager. It is this group of players. They are not suited for each other. This team must be broken up, destroyed, and started over. 110%. Rashad says, what is Carrot going to do? I don't know. You know, Axe thinks that there's some manager out there that will walk into this football club that's going to be like God himself, you know, point his finger, a fucking magic beam of light of ball is going to come out, and United is just going to become some fucking ultimate machine. It's just never going to happen. It's never going to happen, because clearly the problems, you know, there's problems at the manager, but the problems go deeper. It's always been deeper. I said the same thing for Eric Ten Hag. It's deeper than him. It's always been deeper. It's been deeper for fucking years. And until people get the point that, like, you don't have to like the manager, but you have to understand the point that until we root out the problems that go deeper than the manager, whoever the manager is, cannot succeed. They cannot. It is literally physically impossible for them to come and do a job at this football club. It's never going to happen. So too many people, they do this, and they're still doing this. And this is what's baffling to me. We've been through 5 managers now, and they're still, they only hit the manager surface, and that's it. And they think somewhere out there is a golden fucking goose of a manager that is going to come in. This isn't the fucking 1980s. This isn't Sir Alex Ferguson 2.0. It's not going to fucking happen because the problems at the football club are way deeper than just the manager. And until we actually address that shit and we sort those things out, no manager can succeed. There's no platform. There's no environment for any manager in this football game at this moment in time to fix this. You know, football has moved on from that point. The manager is no longer the focal point. The manager is no longer the be-all and end-all. So I'm not saying anything about like Ruben is perfect or anything like that. But everybody thinks, you know, it's quite amazing. The people that said that Ten Hag is the, you know, Ten Hag goes, United is fixed. And now they're like, Amorim goes, United is fixed. And they don't seem to quite understand that it's like, if Amorim goes and you get another manager and we don't fix the fucking problems at the core problem, whatever that manager is, they will fail. You know, I don't understand how people fail to go past the manager. I don't understand why. I don't get it. I don't know if they don't want to think about it. They can't think about it. I really don't get it. I don't understand it in any type of way. I really don't. Chad says, on the other hand, Bruno is that partner that provides you with the glamour stats as gifts, but not where you need them. Rajat says he made crazy shite Man United team much worse. He is not doing a minimum, but not blaming individuals. That doesn't really help. No one will do it. Chad says the squad had 4 managers now. What is the best system for players that's here all of those years? Example, Delo, Maguire, Bruno. Well, I think probably the best system, which I'm going to be quite honest, Chad, it's not good enough because they're not good enough at the end of the day. But the best system is probably counterattack 4-2-3-1 because that's what we've been playing prior to Amorim. You know, the past 4 managers, that's what they played. That's what we recruited players on. That's what we bring them in for. You know, and it still wasn't good enough because they're not actually good enough. So that's probably the strongest way that they can play. But we don't even want to see that. I mean, we don't want to see that. That's not even really United to the certain extent, especially the way we've played that 4-2-3-1. You know, no dictating the game. No, not being the stronger team, going into matches against Liverpool and City and Arsenal and letting them completely dominate the game and trying to score, you know, a one-off counter-attack goal. I mean, United fans don't want to see that shit either. So for the players that are here right now, which is what the team was built on, because, you know, regardless of Amorim, Ten Hag has been here for 3 seasons, or 2.5, whatever it is. You know, they bring those players in. He was playing a 4-2-3-1. He was playing in that sort of manner. And the other players that were here before him that carried over, they were also playing that under Solskjaer, and they were playing it under Mourinho as well. So they probably suit that the best. But, you know, that hasn't achieved us anything, and we weren't good with that either. So that's why I keep saying you got to build the squad, man. You got to build the squad at the end of the day. Chad says Garnacho can go. No mediocre, no more. Rajat says Garnacho or Meno will probably go. Well, maybe all of them go. I mean, listen, the impact of the fallout from this, nobody knows, because I think a lot of the things prior to this, you know, there was a lot of talk. But now that it's happened, decisions and dictations are going to be made going forward from this point. So a lot of things can change. I mean, they can all go. You know, players could go that Menu, Garnacho, they could all go. Amorim could get sacked next week for all we fucking know. We don't know what's really going to happen. They can, you know, go to sleep tonight, wake up tomorrow, have a meeting, and they could all decide, yeah, this is fucked. We fucked this. And we need major changes. And maybe they start doing drastic shit that wasn't mentioned before. So we're going to have to see what happens going forward, you know, from this point on and forward. So, Chad says if Mano goes to a rival, I'll lose my shit. Well, I mean, me too. I don't want it to happen. I think it's incorrect. And I think it's, disaster, really. So, I don't really know. Rajat says, now I see why Grace likes Delo, though. Also, I also like Diego Delo. Again, I think Delo is a good player. For what we have at the current moment, if you want to talk about the elite, and you're talking about dominating the Prem and winning the Prem and winning the Champions League, it's a different story. But for what we got now, out of the group of shit that we have, I think he's probably one of the better players. So, Chad says I'm happy because this mediocre players would have gotten praised if he won, but it would be putting lipstick on a pig. Champions League means nothing if you're the worst team in the comp. I mean, but it could be a silver lining at the end of the day. Maybe people will say copium, or maybe I'm clutching at straws. It could be a silver lining at the end of the day. I think Chad, you might be slightly correct in that. I mean, if we won, maybe the cracks would have gotten papered over a little bit. Maybe the extent of the changes that might come from this sort of fallout, maybe we wouldn't have necessarily gotten it. And maybe now it'll be much more drastic, and maybe now it'll be much more ruthless. We got to wait and see what happens. But, because we don't know how exactly, but maybe that does happen, because now this is the ultimate failure. It is 110% the ultimate failure. So maybe for the future, and not necessarily next season, but maybe for the next 2-3 years going forward, maybe this is the ultimate silver lining. Maybe this is, sometimes in life, maybe you need to get punched in the face. Maybe it sorts you out. Maybe it sorts your shit out. Maybe you fix some things, maybe you need to get beat up and get fucked up. It's not nice. Nobody wants to go through it, but sometimes, maybe one day you're able to look back at that and say, you know what, that was a fucked up thing that happened. And it sucked to go through, but 2-3 years later down the line, I'm looking at it and you know what, I'm better off for it because it made me change my path. And maybe this is what United need. Maybe we needed to get, kicked in the teeth, punched in the face, battered, humiliated, embarrassed, and become just, a pure fucking laughing stock for things to actually really, for substantial change. Because if we won, maybe some of the cracks would have got papered over. Maybe some of them would have allowed to stay here, allowed to live when they don't deserve it. Basically all of them don't deserve it because they've let everybody down. I mean, I was listening to some of the other channels before the match because I was busy and I was quite anxious and I just wanted to listen to some things, and I was listening to a couple of the other channels. People were super chatting them, telling them, they took off of fucking work today. People lost money to watch United today, to lose this final, get embarrassed and lose a final to Tottenham and give them a trophy. People called that a work. People took off of work. People spent money to fly from all over the world to fucking Bilbao. People flew from Canada and America and Australia and all over the world. Spent money to go to that final, to watch United put in that fucking performance and lose. And, they should feel, not the people, but the players should feel absolutely ashamed. And they shouldn't feel any type of worthiness of wearing that shirt in any type of way. Rashad says, Eric Gator, that is true, bro. Valid point. Dad says, where is my line, friend? Well, I think he's just upset, and he, maybe he's just listening. It's understandable. Listen, if people aren't here today, I get it. I'm going to be quite honest. This was the point that I wanted to say earlier in the show, and I totally forgot about it, and I skipped right over it when I said, I don't know if you guys remember, I said, I'm going to be completely honest. And then I said I'm always honest, so I don't know why I said that. And then I forgot what I was going to say. And now you reminded me, Chad. This is, to date, I've been doing this for a little bit over a year now. It's been a year and about 5 months, or about to be 6 months. This is the most difficult live show that I've ever had to do. And you know what? I kind of I didn't really want to do it because it's hard to deal with. It's hard to deal with. And uh I came here because I have a responsibility to do it, but I came here to chat with you guys as well because I knew that you guys were here and I knew that you guys wanted to express your opinions and your feelings and thoughts, and that's why I'm here. So, if anybody that's not here, um, I'm not knocking them. It's extremely difficult. This is the most difficult show I've ever had to do. And I was praying that I didn't have to do this show because I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do a show where I had to come and talk about United losing this final. I didn't want it. I wanted to come here and celebrate with all of you and say, it was a shit season, but we managed to get something out of it and be positive because I like positivity a lot more than negativity. But the players and our club has let us down today. And it sucks. It fucking sucks. It does. And there's not much more to say than that. So, for anybody that's not here, for anybody that's not getting involved in the chat, I get it. I get it. It's hard. And everybody has different ways to cope with it. People need time to digest. People need time to deal with it on their own terms. So, it's the lowest point for many Manchester United fans. I mean, we have one member, his name is Richard Hawkins, and Ray. They've been around for quite some time. They're much older than us. They're in their late 60s. They've seen United through many different phases. They've seen United relegated. They've seen United be shit. They've seen United come back from the depths of hell to glory. They've seen United in fantastic periods, dominating and winning. But for many of us, we weren't there for that, and we didn't live through this. And it's very difficult. You know what I mean? It's very very difficult. Especially for the ones that, like me, around my age, that we only know Fergie. I only grew up with Fergie and watching that United. Uh, I always knew, and I told my friends at the time, and I was still young, fairly young at that time, probably half my age. Because it was about 13 years ago. So I was only 17 or so. I always told them, and I said, I know it's going to be difficult and we're going to struggle when Fergie goes, because to lose that type of person at Manchester United and to transition, it's not going to be nice. It's going to be really rough, and it's going to be hard. But I never imagined that it would be like this. Not to the extent that it's become. Never in a million years. I knew it was going to be difficult. I knew it was going to be hard, but not like this. If somebody came to me at 17-year-old Eric, the day that Ferguson was retiring on the last match, and they told me that you guys were going to have this 13 years, and in detail explain to me everything that happens in the next 13 years, I'd tell them, you're chatting absolute shit. I don't fucking believe you. I don't believe you. I'll never believe you. So it is very very difficult. And now we're in a place where I think many Manchester United fans already felt quite disconnected, but they feel lost. They're in a lot of pain, and we just lost. We don't know where our club is gonna go and what's gonna happen, and it's very hard to try and see a light. at this point in time. It's very hard to 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 see how we ever kind of climb out of this in the next sort of 3, 4, 5 years or so. So, I don't know what happens going forward. I know that I'll be here and I'll continue to support the club. Um, and we'll keep doing these shows and we'll still have the community and stuff like that. But it's difficult. It's difficult. And yeah, I mean, just people, there's a lot of people out there that say people do this thing for money. I mean, maybe some of them do. I don't know them personally, but like to do it at this period in time in Manchester United, to do daily shows, you know, week in, week out, watch the matches, watch alongs in this period of United, to put yourself through that, and it's all for money. I find that kind of hard to believe. I would feel more so if we were still in our glory days and we were winning everything, because it's much easier to jump on the bandwagon of the train that is successful, and just kind of champion and go along with it. But to be here, sometimes I think about it and I'm like, um, you know, I'm like, damn, I wish I started this thing years ago, where when YouTube was around, and I'm like, well, at least we could have enjoyed some success together as a community when we still had it. And now it's like the worst period ever. And it sucks. It does suck because I hate doing these types of things. It's hard to talk about. It's hard to deal with. It sucks. It sucks to see my football club in the state that it's in. So I mean, let's see. There's probably some updates. I'll probably get some quotes from the manager and some of the players. I mean, not that it'll probably mean much to anybody, but we can do that sort of thing, and I'm gonna do player ratings as well. So, Rajat says no one is really that proactive. Rajat says fans pick and choose only one who they blame: Glazers, player, or coach. I mean, I just is I don't know what it is, Rajat. There's a lot of people that, and I respect them for it, and I get it. But you see tons of different types of people. I think it's just human beings, just being human beings, and you can't change human beings. You can't force them to change. They need to change, and some people don't change. But like, there's people out there that they only talk about the Glazers, only talk about the Glazers. I don't have a problem with that, but what I'm saying is, like, for every person that's out there that only talks about the Glazers, there's another person out there that only talks about the managers, and for every person that's out there that only talks about the managers, there's another person that only talks about the players. And I see these people all the time on social media. But what I really see, the biggest thing that I see, the most of them that I see, is there is more of the people that they speak solely only about the manager. They never get past the point of the manager. They never extend it further than that. And I don't know if that's because Manchester United is in such a weird place that maybe football fans shouldn't have to be so in tune with recruitment and what our CEO and what our fucking technical director and our director of football are doing. Maybe that's not fucking normal, at other football clubs. Maybe that's just something that, because we're so bad in the way we are, that we've had to become like this. And because other clubs aren't to that extent, it can just be more simplistic, where you can just say the manager sucks or the owner is bad. And that's pretty much the end of discussion. But I don't know. Chat says our fan base is crazy. Well, all football fans are crazy, and all fan bases are crazy. I mean, at the end of the day. So, but listen, if you haven't done so already, please make sure you smash the like button at the very least. Maybe you could cheer me up just a little bit. and get those likes up. I don't know how many likes we're at the current moment, but if you did smash the like button, I appreciate it for smashing the like button on such a dark and shit day, to be quite honest. So let me just go online. I'm gonna check to see, um, if we got some other stuff um going on. Maybe we get some comments, some updates and stuff like that. Um, so this is something that doesn't help and that I don't like. Apparently Roberto Garnacho, which if you don't know is Garnacho's younger brother. I don't know how old he is, but he's sort of quite young. He's not like 12 or anything like that, but he's youngish like compared to me. I think he might be like 16, 17, something like that. Around there. He's put up a post on social media with a picture of Garnacho with his head down, holding the medal, walking past the Europa League trophy, and he wrote, "Working as no one else, helping every round, coming for 2 goals, last 2 finals, just to be on the pitch 90 minutes and get thrown under the bus. Wow. Ha 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 ha." I mean, this is the type of shit that I don't want to see and I don't want to hear. I don't have any ill will towards Garnacho's brother because I mean he's not a footballer and I don't really give a shit about him. But just like just be quite blunt. Just please, just shut the fuck up for today. Just shut up. Nobody wants you to put these things out there. It's not the correct timing. It's not a good thing to do. And not for nothing. If I'm Garnacho, uh, if that was me and that was my brother, I would call him and tell him, I love you and I appreciate you, but please take that fucking shit down and stop doing shit like this because you're not helping the situation. Just stop. Stop. We don't want to hear, we don't even want to hear from our own players. Many people don't even want to hear from the manager at this current moment. We don't want to hear brothers, sisters, wives of the fucking players coming out, putting up social media posts, talking about their player that was on the pitch, and just talking about how the club doesn't, whatever it is. We don't want to hear it. We don't want to see it. Um, even the Muppeteers quoted it and said, "So great for the culture that this has been going on unchecked for over a year." I mean, but I mean, they're right. He's right. Like, this is an issue. I don't see this shit going on at other clubs. Why doesn't this happen at Liverpool? Why doesn't this happen at Arsenal when they miss out on the Champions League final and they finish second? Why is there no, where is Saka's mom or, whatever? Where are they coming out with social media posts talking about basically telling the club to go fuck themselves because their brother or whoever, their husband or boyfriend or whatever it is, was involved in scored 2 goals in the last 2 finals and got 19 minutes on the pitch. I mean, this shit can't happen. It cannot happen. And it keeps happening at this football club. Again, the problems we have go beyond the manager. This football club is rotten inside to the core. And until we fucking clean the cancer out, we're not gonna go and we're not gonna do anything. It's absolutely diabolical. It's just disgusting. So, yeah, I mean, there's no need for that. There's no need for that. Rio Ferdinand has said a couple things I've seen. So, let me just go in here and let me just see. Let me just get all the comments. Let me get all the comments. Yeah, somebody's saying we're going to get the Cunha deal done tomorrow, aren't we? Spin, spin, spin. Well, I mean, that's the only positive you can kind of throw on this. But I think at this point, the way people feel, I don't think people will even be really hyped about the Cunha deal because of what has happened today. So they can try and spin it. They can try and spin it, but I don't think it'll really work. I really don't think it'll work. Ondero says this was the best thing to happen to us, the final nail in the coffin. This is by far the worst collection of players we've had since the mid 1980s. The reset will now begin. Brace yourself for it. Well, I hope so, Ondero. I hope so. Again, I said that, maybe, hopefully, it could be a silver lining for Manchester United, maybe sometime in the next, 2, 3 years, 4 years. I don't know if you were here, Ondero. I don't know if you were listening, but I likened to the fact of, you ever see, you ever know somebody in your life that used to act out and be, kind of a troublemaker or annoying or a nuisance, and they get punched in the face? I don't advocate for violence, but let's be real. Life is rough and shit happens. And, sometimes they get punched in the face, they get beat up. And sometimes that straightens their path out and they change. And I said, you know what? It's a shit situation on Darrow. It's hurt us and it's put us in a bad position. But maybe this is what United needed at the end of the day. Maybe this is something that maybe we'll look back at in a couple years' time and go, you know what? That was a dark period. It was shit. It was absolutely horrible. But you know what? Actually, it did us a favor because it let us sort our shit out instead of papering over the cracks again. So maybe, I hope so, Under. I really do. I can't, at this moment in time, literally at this moment in time, I can't tell you because I just feel like everything is up in the air now. I don't know what the club and the people at it are going to do and decide. We can wake up tomorrow and they can sack Amorim for all I know. That's how I feel. I just feel like everything at this current moment in time is up in the air. I don't know what the plan is. If they sack Amorim tomorrow because they decided to do so, everything changes, the transfer targets are going to change now, at least some of them. So, it's just we're in the unknown. We're in the void. We're in the unknown. And I just don't know, what's gonna happen. So, just to put it into this sort of perspective, Spurs had 3 shots. They had just 27.7% possession and completed 115 passes tonight. All the lowest figures that Opta has on record by any team in a major European final, but they still won it. And this is why I say, I to a certain extent, I still feel robbed. Like, I know we didn't do enough, and I know we were poor, but the goal we conceded was shit. We let it happen. We did it once again to ourselves, and then we didn't help ourselves. And Spurs weren't great. They weren't great, but fair to them, the ball went in the back of the net and they win the trophy. But I was hoping we get an equalizer because I was like, if we get an equalizer, we can go win. And I was just like, Tottenham have just seceded everything to defend this. And I was like, if we score, we'll win this fucking thing. And I was just like, we had most of the possession. We had more chances, but we didn't do enough with the chances. But on paper, in terms of number, we had more chances. You know what I mean? We had more of the ball. We just didn't do enough with it. And that was the thing that was kind of like, I felt like we were getting robbed because we had to do more with it. We had, the ball was in our court. It was in our field. It was in our hands. And we weren't doing enough with it. But I was like, but it's in our hands. And we just didn't do anything. I mean, Spurs went into total, like, it wasn't like, it wasn't like really, the match wasn't like a final. It felt like we were playing a fucking, like a team that was trying to, stop themselves from getting relegated. And we were just shit. And we just couldn't get over the line. And they were just like happy to just we got the 1 goal and we're gonna protect. It wasn't a good final. Like, everybody that's a neutral, they're gonna come out of that saying that was a fucking shit game. It was a shit game of football. 100% it was. You know, the Spurs fan, they'll say they love it and they enjoy it, obviously, because they won. And United fans are gonna hate it, but everybody else that's in between, for neutrals, it was a shit game of football. It was shit from both teams. So you know, it's not like Tottenham were absolutely stunning. They weren't amazing. You know, they weren't like, it wasn't like when they beat us 3-0 at Old Trafford, where they absolutely just fucking, you know, wrecked us. It wasn't anything like that. It was just that they were slightly better. They got a little bit of luck on the goal, and we were shit, and we didn't do enough. So, um, Chad says Ruben said they can fire him without compensation. Well, I'm gonna get to what Ruben says. So, if he did really say that, I mean, I don't blame him. I mean, again, say and think whatever you want about him. You know, I don't. It doesn't really matter. But when I see him give the press conferences, I like, you can see the emotion on his face. He's not one to sort of hide things. I feel the pain, and I get that statement from him, because I mean, we're hurting. He's fucking hurting. Again, whether he's good enough or not, I do truly believe that he actually cares about this football club, and he really wanted to come here and do a good job and succeed. And he wanted to return Manchester United back to being one of the best. And he's been absolutely just, you know, just destroyed. Destroyed. I think his ego has been destroyed. I think his own confidence has been destroyed in himself as well. I think he's a man that's really, really down. So I'm not surprised if he actually said that, Chad, because to be quite honest, if I was Manchester United manager and things went the way that it went for him and it went for me, and this happened, I'd probably say the same thing, Chad. I'd say, listen, I can't do this to this football club. I've failed. I have failed the football club. I don't deserve to be paid. Um, I have played a hand in bringing an utter stain onto this football club that I care about. I don't deserve anything. I don't deserve anything. Ray says Ineos is a mess that we did create. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they might sort of be a mess. Again, I still think that they have a chance to kind of fix things, but I mean, clearly the way things have gone, it hasn't gone well. They've fucked it. They've fucked it up. And to the very least, right now, again, they're at another crossroads. This is the thing that is a huge issue, because I think the big question is, and I don't think anybody actually has. I don't think anybody actually has the answer, because it's just too much unknown. What do you do at this point? Because I think they're at the same point again. You know, there's a manager here that they have brung in that has completely struggled, and it's gone from bad to worse. And they have a decision to make. You sack him and hire somebody new for the next season, or you continue with him, you take the gamble and you take the chance. And if it goes fucking wrong, you will find yourself in the same position once again, where you will have to sack a manager in the middle of a season, and then you will have to go and hire somebody to take over. And when you hire that somebody to take over, number one, in the middle of the season, there is a lack of options. Unless we're super lucky and somehow there's some sort of a vacancy that happens right at the time that this sacking happens. So there's a lack of options. You then have to go and figure out what you're going to do. And whatever they do at that point, and whoever they get, then there's a determining factor of, well, what happens again? Because even if you find a manager, you're still bringing in a manager in the middle of a season. What football do they play? How accustomed is the squad to the football that they play? They're not going to have a proper preseason. Okay, less matches because we won't be in Europe at all, and we'll be playing just for the Prem, FA Cup, and Carabao. So will have more time, so maybe it won't be quite as bad, but it is a huge issue. Absolutely 110%. Because we can kind of repeat the same shit that just happened, and nobody wants that. Nobody. I mean, not even the fucking Glazers want it. You know what I mean? Nobody wants it. Ineos doesn't want it. We don't want it. The players don't want it. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants this to repeat. But we're at a point where, really, if you sit there and think about it, there's two options. You can sack this manager now and change it, whether people want that or not, but it's an option. Or you can try and stick with him, get a summer window in, go into the next season, and it's still a massive gamble because there's no fucking guarantee that it's going to work. Even prior to this, I mean, there was no guarantee that it's going to work, but now it's much harder. Now it's a worse situation because if we won it, there was a good chance we could have got Gyökeres. Now, who knows what happens with the striker? You know, we had three sort of targets, maybe four. Three of them are probably all out the window because all of them want Champions League. We don't have that. We can't offer them to that. Even Liam Delap, who had one season in the Premier League and isn't even a fucking star player, asks and demands Champions League, and we can't offer that to him. So what happens? You know? Because if we go from we're looking at Gyökeres, Osimhen, and Delap to getting some fucking, you know, random striker who's not even close to any three of them, you know, what chance does Ruben stand next season if he's struggling with these players that clearly aren't good enough? But the people that we get in, they won't be good enough either. So, you know, how is he gonna, because he's not gonna work any magic either. He obviously needs help. And he needs help from the hierarchy, and getting better tools. But if we can't afford better tools, or we don't have the opportunity to get better tools, I mean, you know, he's not gonna. It's not like he's gonna fucking wake up and snap his fingers one day, and all of a sudden everything is gonna be, you know, hunky dory. So, Chad says we got robbed by Leicester, 80 million for Blockhead and Maguire. I mean, but Chad, we got robbed all over the place. Like, let's be honest. Like, we did. I mean, it was a stupid signing, Chad. I mean, again, I'm not even against him. I think today he was actually probably one of the better players on the pitch. I actually think he had a strong performance compared to some of the other players. It's not really about him today. But, I mean, it was a bad signing, and it was a shit signing because we paid a lot of money for no reason. You know, we wasted money there. Wasted money on Maguire, wasted money on Sancho, wasted money on Rasmus, wasted money on Anthony, wasted money on, you know, fucking name the player. Giving Marcus Rashford 325,000 a week, Casemiro paying, you know, a good high price for him, and also giving him 350,000 a week. You know, everywhere you look it's wasted money, and that's why we are where we are. For a large part, it's why we are where we are. You know, mix in some other things along the way, but the biggest thing, the most destroying thing that this football club has done is fuck up every single recruitment along the way. It's why it's pretty much the biggest reason as to why we are where we are. Because again, I fully believe until you sort this recruitment out, there's not a manager out there that's going to do what United fans want them to do. They don't stand a chance. They don't. This is the reality we're facing. They don't. And I'm trying to tell the people, again, you don't have to believe in Ruben Amorim. You don't got to fucking like him. But you got to understand, there is not one guy out there that's going to walk into this football club and have them playing the way you want them to play and finishing in the position you want them to finish until we get better recruitment. It's just not going to happen. It's happened 5 times already. You know, when are you going to wake up and understand that until we sort out our recruitment, there's no manager that can come here and do a job. We will forever be fucked till we figure it out. So, Ray says Maguire is not the problem. We don't do enough in the offense. But it's just the squad overall. It's the club. It's the whole thing from everywhere. All over the place. It's not just one individual. It's not. They could share part of the blame. They could be part of the problem, and that's fine. I'm not saying to not give them any sort of blame or anything like that, but I'm trying to get people to understand it's not just like if you remove one player or you remove one manager and all the problems are solved. There's so many issues at this football club and so many things that we have, united, you know, people say you shoot yourself in the foot, right? When you fuck something up against yourself. United have for 13 years we've shot ourselves in both feet, both knees, both legs, our arms, our chest, and our head. Like we have fucked ourselves for 13 years along the way, one by one by one. So we're not bleeding from one spot. We're bleeding from everywhere. We're bleeding from all over the place. We have multiple injuries in terms of like wounds. And until we clean up all the wounds and the major wounds first to stop most of the bleeding, we're going to continue down this path. And then who knows where we go from there. So, Undero says Spurs was terrible. Let's be clear on that. We had them in the palm of our hands, but we had no conviction in our final ball. And that didn't do enough with our possession, and passing was not aggressive. We should have gotten Amorim in last May after the cup final, not in mid-season. He has exposed these players. Now it's over to Ineos to back the manager they brought in. Let's see if they do it. Well, I mean, let's see what happens, because I think I agree. I mean, they did this, right? And they owned up to it as well to a certain degree. I mean, they said they fucked it up and they should have sacked Ten Hag in the summer and they should have gotten in a manager in there. What's funny is, and this is probably because Dan Ashworth was there and he was in charge of this sort of things. He was saying get people like Thomas Frank and Gareth Southgate. So Ruben Amorim wasn't even in consideration in the summer. Obviously, Dan Ashworth got sacked, and then Ruben Amorim was all of a sudden in consideration, and we got him. They created this situation. They fucked it up. The only thing that they can do to try and fix it, realistically, again, they only have really two options. Sack the manager, get a different one, and do it, now, so that you start from the beginning. That's one option that they have. The other option is, if you're sticking with Amorim, then you have to fucking back him because you put him in a position to get fucked. They did. I mean, bringing him in, playing the way he plays, and he stated this multiple times, and he just said this in the press conference before the match. He said publicly that I told the hierarchy that I'm going to play the way I play and that I won't change things. So that was quite clear when they negotiated this shit and they accepted it. So it's on them to sort this shit out. So Ray says, I think we should have stuck with Erik Ten Hag for the season. Well, maybe. I mean, again, we'll never know how it could have went. We don't know. Could have been better. Could have been bad. I think most people argue it probably wouldn't have been this bad, but it still could have been bad. It still could have been not good enough. I mean, we don't necessarily know how it would have went. It didn't look too great anyway in that position. Obviously, it wasn't this bad, but it wasn't too great anyway. So I mean, that's one thing. They could have done that as well. And like Undero said, they could have, got him in last May in the summer. which is kind of what they said, where they fucked up and they were like, we shouldn't have given the contract extension. We should have sacked him and we should have just bring in the manager in that summer instead of, doing what they did. Another argument that you can also say is that even if they sacked Ten Hag, they should have made a deal with Ruben to come in this summer. So, again, it's on them, and they got a job to do. And the way they can rectify this really is if they stick with this manager, get him change the squad in however possible way you can, and try and give him the best possible tools to try and have a better season next season. And if they feel like they can't do that, then their only other option is to hold their hands up once again and say, we've totally fucked this, and sack him and get a different manager. But I don't know what they're going to do from here on out. And all indications, they said prior that they plan on sticking with him. Let's see what happens. Because, we'll see. Chad says, we elite physical specimens like Pogba and Grill. We need more physicality for sure, Chad. We need more physicality. 110%. We are a weak group of players. We are absolutely weak. We need higher IQ players. And, we need all sorts of stuff. We don't pass the ball enough, like quick enough. There's a lack of urgency, a real lack of urgency in the team. There's a lack of confidence in the players to go forward. Not for nothing. I didn't even call him out, but dude, Luke Shaw I don't think Luke Shaw played one ball today forward. Not a single ball. I think Luke Shaw, every single ball that he had in his feet, he passed it backwards. And I don't understand how or why. Because when he was fit and he was playing wingback, he was one of our best players. Constantly going forward, constantly driving at the defense, constantly putting in crosses and good crosses and making runs in behind. He's come back playing left center back and he was afraid to pass the ball forward. Every single ball that Luke Shaw got today, he passed it sideways or he passed it backwards. We can't have that. If Lisandro Martinez was available, he would go forward. Like, you need progressive players that move the ball forward, that aren't afraid to go forward. Shaw hurt us in that aspect because he's not doing the job as a player in that position. The center backs need to be progressive with the ball. That's what this system calls for. You have to be able to bring the ball up. You have to be willing to make forward passes and take risks and go forward. Shaw didn't want any of that tonight. He didn't want any of the blame. He didn't want to make any mistakes. He played it 100% fucking safe. You can't have that. And I don't understand why. I don't get why. I don't get it. I really just don't get it. Yeah, the Punisher, you could piss off. There's no justice. You guys still got sent packing, so you could piss off, Punisher. How about that? Your team got beaten fair and square. You guys got outplayed, and you also won nothing. So enjoy yourself. Have fun. Steph's here as well. Steph, I'll get to you in a second. I'm sorry. You can't have a midfield that doesn't function as a collective. I agree, Chad, but I would widen that to you can't have a team that doesn't function as a collective. Because I look at just not the midfield, and I think you're right. The midfield, is a big issue, and it's one of the most important parts on the field, on the pitch. But in a broader sense, I look at the team like that, Chad. I look at the whole team like that. The whole team doesn't function as a collective. That's like been my whole message for like a year now. You know, even when Ten Hag was here, I was saying that. Like the whole team is dysfunctional. They don't function as a collective. This is why I'm asking and I keep begging that, and I hope that we can build a squad, because we don't have one. We don't have one. You know, it's not just the midfield. It's all over the place. I agree the midfield is an issue as well, Chad, but the whole thing is built ass backwards. It's wrong. It's fucked up. It doesn't work. It's broken. So we need to fix it. And it's going to be a long road now, because our best hope, I mean, at the very least for next season, our best hope is we get some players in. Hopefully it's enough. If Amorim is still here, then hopefully Amorim has a good season. And somehow we finish decently high in the table to get ourselves back into, you know, some sort of a contention that we can then build upon next season. But I mean, next season is now a season that is just, it's pretty much a pure building season. Because you look at United, we're 16th and we have no trophy and we have no European football at all. So what is next season? You know, any person that comes in here tonight or tomorrow or whatever and tries and tells me this team has to finish top 4. I mean, we have to for the benefit of it, but for it to actually happen is now even a bigger task than we were already talking about before this happened. So Ray says we don't have a team because we don't play as one. No, but like, I think we don't have a team. Like, I don't think we play as one because, like, see, I say the opposite. We don't play as one because we don't have a team. Like, I really do think when you look at this group of players, their qualities and their attributes, their mentalities and their attitudes, individually, when you stick them on a pitch and 11 of them are playing, and you look at the way each of them play the game and have the philosophy of themselves as a player, it doesn't go together. There's no cohesion between them. So I look at it as we can't play as one because we don't have a team. There's no way for us to play as a team because we don't have a team. So like, I do agree with you in that sense, but just like, for me, it's slightly just backwards. I truly believe that there is no way you can get this group of players to play as a team, because this group of players is not a team. And if they're not a team, they can't play as one. It's literally physically impossible for them to play as a team because they're not a team. You have to put the team together. Then you train and you build the team to play as a team. But if they're incompatible, you know, it's like when you're a child and they give you that toy and you have triangle block, square block, and circle block, and you have to put the shapes where they go. And if you have a bunch of shapes on the floor and none of them are triangle and none of them are circle and none of them are square, you can't. How you gonna complete the game? You can't, because none of the blocks are gonna fit into the fucking hole. So you're fucked. So you're just gonna be sitting there trying to put, an octagon into a square or into a triangle. It's never gonna work. Chad says we don't have Real Madrid quality. We had, though. I mean, listen. I mean, even some of the things. Listen, even if you look at some of the Ferguson teams, Chad. To be quite honest, I mean, listen. There was one point. I mean, we had Thomas Cleverley and Kagawa and Gibson playing in these teams, winning shit. So, we had some amazing, fantastic players, but I mean, Real Madrid have always been sort of that step above in that aspect. But I mean, we're very far away from Real Madrid quality now at this point. I've seen a player like Suarez make mediocre players feel like they better than they are. We don't have anyone special. I mean, yeah, we've kind of been missing that. Chad says Sir Eric had an effect on the players because they could see he was miles beyond them in terms of quality. Chad says Nick or Pacer is just a question to lighten up the mood a bit. Yeah, I'm sorry guys that it's been so negative, but it's a therapy session today. So, um, but Chad, to answer your question, I'm from New York, big Knicks fan. Let's go Knicks. Maybe they could cheer me up tonight. They did good to get past the Celtics. It was sort of a big upset. Nobody really gave the Knicks a chance, except for the New Yorkers, of course. So they done me proud in that point. Now we're basically in, what is the semifinals of the NBA. It's game 1 tonight. It's going to start in about 40 minutes or so. And I'm going to watch that. So hopefully my Knicks lessen the pain of United for me today. And hopefully they get a game 1 done. But yeah, Knicks all the way because that's my team. And that's always been my team. So hopefully they can do a job for me. But let's see what we get. Ray says, I hope this time works the opposite of the other managers. He started bad and get better, but the others started good when worse. Well, that's what I said a long time ago, Ray. I mean, I hope. I mean, we don't know. I mean, it could just be really bad. It could just have started bad and it could just continue to get bad and get worse until it ends. And I hope that's not the case, but I did say that one time. It was probably back around January or something. I'm pretty sure I said it to Axe Lord when I said, I was quite hopeful because to that aspect, a lot of the managers that came here, they did start off quite good. I mean, Eric Ten Hag, especially the most recent one, he did great to finish 3rd. No one really expected that. It was a really good season, and it went really backwards from that point. And every other manager is sort of the same. They done good when they come in the beginning, and it all falls apart by the 3rd season. And with Ruben, it's started literally the worst it could possibly start ever. And really, I don't think you can. For him, it can't get worse. Really, I mean, it's already as bad as it can really get. So really, the only way up is the only way really is either up or it just stays where it is. It really can't go lower because he won't. The only way it would go lower is if he gets relegated. But if it's this bad, he won't get time to get relegated because he'll get sacked, and he knows that, and everybody else knows that. So, I think it's time to clear out from top to bottom. Well, I mean, maybe this is what comes out of it, Ray. Maybe I think we've been asking for it and we've been saying it for quite some time. And maybe now it actually happens because maybe now, a bunch of people get a kick up their ass at the football club. And they're staring down the barrel of despair and they realize, well, you know what? Fucking, we're 16th and we're not in Europe anymore. We've just lost a shit ton of money. This is bad. The Glazers are going to be pissed for their money. Ineos will be mad because it's not good for their project for 2028. They've also invested money, so it's not good for them. And we finished 16th in the Premier League. So, if they face the facts, maybe they do sort of the surgery that Rangnick once asked for, and not a butcher job, Chad says, when you are very fast and physically gifted, the game is slow for you. We need better people fit for the highest performance levels of football. Chad, I absolutely 110% agree with you. And this is the squad that I kind of see. And this is why I say, I get if people want to say Ruben's tactics are no good or, he's not a good manager. I get that one part. But again, this is why I keep saying it's not just him, though. Look at the quality of the squad. Look at the dynamic. Look at the characteristics of the squad. They're not very fast. They're not highly IQ'd. They're not physically gifted. They're not. We have put together a squad. And again, I don't want to throw it all on Eric Ten Hag, but this has happened more recently under his reign. I mean, we had a squad. He had a squad that finished 3rd. He made a bunch of changes, him and the people in charge. They changed a ton of players, and we regressed from that point on. So, we've taken whatever that squad was that people still didn't like and still didn't say that was good enough, but instead of improving it, we changed a bunch of things and made it worse because now it lacks physicality, it lacks speed, and we can't compete in the fucking Premier League anymore because we built a team that doesn't fit the Premier League. And a lot of people are very mad at Eric Ten Hag for that. I mean, Eric Ten Hag is very hated. If you go online and you go into any of the comments, there's people constantly talking about that Eric Ten Hag deserves to get arrested for what he did to Manchester United. And at the end of the day, like, fair play, because he had a high enough influence on transfers and shit, but he wasn't the only one. The Glazers hired Richard Arnold. They had him in charge. Richard Arnold had John Murtaugh and Darren Fletcher and all these other people in charge. They also did things. They negotiated prices. They bring in players. They signed off on deals. They were part of this process as well. It's not just him. These people are all culpable for this shit. They're all culpable for it. 110%. Steph is here. Now I could get to Steph's comments. She says, hello, Eric. So angry right now. I blame player of the season, says captain. Not Luke Shaw. Get rid of everyone and start again. No, yeah, I mean, listen, Bruno had a really bad game. I know Lyle's been here, but he hasn't really been talking. But Lyle, I kind of feel like it's not a show kind of without you. Give me some thoughts and opinions, Lyle, because I feel kind of, I don't know. I feel like when you say things, I feel a little bit better. So I know you've been here and you've just been watching the background, but I just, tell me something, Lyle. Tell me something. What are you feeling? I want to hear something from you. Tell me what you feel. Steph has left us. She said holiday camp settings and good night, everyone. Well, appreciate you, Steph. I don't know if you'll see this or hear this, but thank you for coming by, Steph. And I hope I hope you'll be okay. I hope you'll be okay. Dad says the middle is connection that makes the team function as a collective. No, 100%. 100%. I mean, the midfield is totally important. Andero says, how slow was Onana's dive for the goal? My 82-year-old neighbor would have gone down quicker. We will get a reset, but not the one we're going to get, but a reset that will give us stability. Well, but that's, Andero, that's what we need. That's what we need. And, whether people are prepared for it or not, which I feel like a lot of people aren't, but it's what we need. It's what we need. It's like when you're sick and people don't want to take the medicine, but it's what you need to get you better. And, we will get I hope we do get a reset. That gives us stability. We need stability. We are at a point where we are 100% out of control. We're completely unstable. We're just in a spiral. And at the current moment, we just need to find stability because we can't progress further than that until we find the stability. So we need to get the stability. Ray says the fish stink from the head. That's what they say. I mean, yeah. I mean, well, listen, these guys are in charge. And again, I've always said that the people in charge, they have a lot of blame as well. And they have a hand because this is a football club and it's not just one guy and it's not just one player that has the determining factor over a football club. It's everybody involved. So, and it always comes from the top down because they're the ones with the most power and they're the ones with the most influence and they're the ones that make the decisions. That's why I say, like, at the end of the day, you could hate Amorim and you can blame Amorim all you want, but at the end of the day, Amorim didn't employ himself. Amorim didn't make certain decisions. So, you can blame Amorim for certain things. You can hate Amorim for certain things, and that's fine. But don't fucking put it all on him because he's not the only one at this football club. There's many different people at this football club. We have players that also deserve blame. We have people up top that are in charge under Ineos and the Glazers. They are to blame. There's people in the back that we don't hear their names or see their faces. Coaches, other types of staff that maybe they're not good at their job. They're also at blame. everybody has a hand to play here. So it's never just one person. It's never just one thing. It's a collective. Um, but ultimately, the people in charge, they're the ones that have the ultimate power to remove and replace any of these other pieces, such as the manager or any type of players or staff that aren't, doing what they're supposed to be doing. So at the end of the day, it'll ultimately always fall back on those that have the ultimate power, um, which is why Ineos have a job to do, because at some point the guillotine will come crashing down on their head, um, and it'll come soon. Because I mean, if we don't find some stability and we don't make some sort of positivity for next season, the situation is going to get worse for them, and the goal is going to get further away for them because they've already publicly stated 2028. And it'll only be 2 years. And if we're really far off from that, they're going to be in big, big trouble. And they're going to find themselves backed into a corner. And they're only going to have themselves to blame because they're the ones that are in charge and make these decisions. And they're the ones that have the most influence at the football club. So, time's a ticking. But this is why I'm always the way I am. Because at the end of the day, you can hate Ineos from the beginning. You can support Ineos from the beginning, or you can just sit there and kind of just give Ineos some time. And that's what I like to do. I just like to give time because at the end of the day, you'll find out the answer. Time will reveal all. It's fine if you want to have an opinion or a thought and you feel strongly about it from the very beginning. I have no problem with that. I do that with some things, but for me, it's just easier, and it's a lot less, I guess, stressful on myself because I can cry from the second Ineos came in here and said that I hate them and I think that they're going to fuck everything up and I don't trust them and I don't like them and I want them to get the fuck out. Or I could just sit here and be like, well, Ineos are in charge. I can't remove them right now. And I know they're going to get time. And in time, time will give me the answer. And time will give everybody the answer. And if in 3 seasons, we're worse than we were, then obviously there's your answer. They were shit and they fucked everything up. And if it's not good enough, they're shit and they fucked everything up. And then it gets to a point where it'll boil over and maybe, our fan base stands up together and maybe we get them pushed out and maybe we get other people pushed out and maybe some change comes about and things happen. But not, that sort of thing can't happen in the beginning because there's too many people that feel a different way. So, Chad says if you have a good CDM, he helps the back line along with the center mid, who is the box to box. If you have a good cam, he helps the two mids to build up the play and attack support. I mean, listen, I mean, you're spot on, Chad. I mean, the midfield is one of the most important things. Big determining factor in matches. It wins you matches. It wins you matches. It wins you games. So, but again, to me, it's just like it's not just the midfield. Like, yeah, the midfield is an issue, but the team is an issue. Whether it's the defense, the goalkeeper, the attack, and the midfield, everything is dysfunctional. Everything is a lack of communication, a lack of understanding, a lack of chemistry between all the players in all the positions. We can't grow, we can't succeed like that. It's literally impossible. A step is to start fixing things. So maybe you fix the midfield and then okay, the midfield is better. But just like I tried to give a message to people that it's like it's fine to pinpoint problems and say like this is an issue and we need to fix it. That's fine, but just always remember like just because we fix the midfield doesn't mean that everything is going to be the most amazing thing you ever seen. It should improve the situation and things should be better, but that doesn't mean that all the other problems go away now and that everything else is solved, because it extends beyond that and it's in many different problems. Steph said that next season is focused on Premier League, no 25% pay increase, players shape up or ship out simples. Well, yeah, I mean, Well, clearly they don't deserve it. They didn't earn it. I mean, a lot of people they didn't even want them to get the 25% increase, but I mean, they certainly don't fucking deserve it in any type of way. And actually, going forward, if I was in charge, every player that comes into this football club now, and every player that is staying at this football club that is signing a contract extension into your contract is going. If Manchester United finish below eighth place, you will lose 25% of your fucking wages. On top of that, you know, before they weren't in there because it wasn't a thing that was like ever happening. But now that now that it has happened, and now that we're at the point where we are, we need to start putting these in contracts because they clearly need more of an incentive, especially in players today's time and the players that we have at our football club. There needs to be a more personal repercussions for doing these types of things because they don't really suffer enough. You know, we suffer, the fans suffer, the club is suffering because of a lack of money and identity, and you know, our reputation is being destroyed and we're being dragged through the fucking mud. But you know, they're still getting paid the same money. They just didn't get the 25% increase, but they're still getting their wages. There needs to be more repercussions for this sort of shit. So moving forward, they should be looking to put in some sort of penalties for finishing below, you know, somewhere, along with the European thing, but in the season as well. You know, Chad said, Chad said Rooney could make the club and don't talk crap about Shinzi. Well, listen, I liked him. I wish he did better. But you know what I'm saying is like even he wasn't great. But when you look at some of the lineups we used to have, I mean, we never had that sort of Real Madrid quality. We had some players that were on that level, like Giggs and Scholes and shit like that, and periods and times. But I mean, there were some periods and times when you look at Ferguson's teams and, you know, you look at lineups and we're winning matches in, you know, semifinals of the Champions League with like people like John O'Shea and shit. And like, you know, as much as I love them and they were good for us, you wouldn't say that they're Real Madrid quality. Rooney could make that club. Don't talk crap about Sin. No, but Rooney 100% could make that club. Steph says this season has been a comedy of errors, learn and improve. I mean, this season has been just a disaster. Chad says good luck to your Knicks, and thank you. And Steph for two of my favorite sports. Lyle says I'm here, Eric. I'm good, man. I know you are. I feel Amorim got it wrong tonight, but it's not all on him. This team is weak, both physically and mentally. Spurs, all for nothing, really. We could have won that. Yeah, I feel that. As a fellow South African, well, I have a South African swear words for tonight. Is that one of them, Chad? I don't know how to say it. Cock, should I say it? Am I gonna get banned if I say this shit? Are we gonna get banned if I say this? You think YouTube knows South African curse words? Um, Laz says, I kind of feel too that Amorim should have stuck to what he knows worked for us in the UL these last matches. Ugarte and Casse should have had that midfield. Ahmad at right wing back, Garner and Bruno in the tens. Yeah. Yeah, I mean I feel you. You should be safe. Chad said it. Cock Joss Xe. I don't know. That's probably I probably totally fucked that up, but I tried my best. I'll put that in Google Translate later and then see how it tells me. No, but you know, I mean, I do agree, Lyle. I mean, the team is it's weak both physically. It's both physically and mentally weak. Um, Again, I still feel like, you know, we could have won that in a way, even though you know, we didn't do good enough and we weren't great ourselves. But I just don't think Spurs were really that good in any shape or form. And that goal stings to concede because it's a shit goal, and we shouldn't concede goals like that. And that's why when I keep saying I feel like we got robbed, That's why I feel like we got robbed, because I just feel like Tottenham, they weren't that great to say you absolutely 100% deserve to beat us, because I just look at that goal and I'm like, that goal should have never, we should have never allowed that goal to be conceded. It wasn't the best chance. I mean, Johnson miskicked it. You know, he fucked it. A little bit of luck of the deflection, and Onana, doing EAFC goalkeeper glitch type dive. You know, when I say that, it's because, like, and I think Daryl mentioned it before. I mean, the dive was like, I don't know how to do this. So here's the line of the goal, right? Here's Onana. Instead of diving like this fucking guy jumped like, you know, like in an arch, right? Like he went like that instead of like this. Like, instead of fucking going down, right? He like jumped in a curve. It was weird. And I'm just like, dude, that shit shouldn't have like happened, you know? And then, like, I get we didn't do enough to a certain degree because we didn't put the ball in the back of the net, but the game could have went in any way. I mean, who knows? I mean, Tottenham obviously wouldn't have gone so defensive. Maybe we would have been able to get a better opportunity. Maybe they still would have scored on us. Maybe we would have went to fucking extra time and penalties. Maybe we would have won it in penalties. I mean, from that point on, nobody knows. But that's why I just feel like I feel extra disappointed, because I'm like, we didn't play great. We played like shit, and I'm mad at them for that. But at the same time, I'm like, it wasn't a fucking, it wasn't even like an exceptional attacking masterclass from Spurs. They got a cheeky, lucky goal, and then they did well to defend. And, that part, fair play to them, because that's the smart move. I can't hate on them for that, because that's United's biggest kryptonite. United struggled to score already, so if you pack the box and go ultra defensive, you should be safe, because we can't figure out how to score regularly, or we struggle to do it anyway. But I was just like, the whole time I was sitting there and I'm watching the game, and I'm like, don't tell me we fucking lose like this, like not like this, not from this stupid bullshit goal, not like this. It's one thing if we got completely 110% outplayed and they wrecked us or something. They were just so exceptional, we couldn't keep up with them. They were faster and they were super, just amazing in the attack and shit like that. That's one thing. But I was like, to lose like this, and I was like, this is how we're gonna lose. I was like, this is some bullshit. Like, I was like, I was like, we're gonna lose like this. This is how we lost. This is how we lost. Oh, it sucks. Andera says, following this bad night, I believe that Bruno will tell us that he will be leaving for Saudi with others to follow. It's ironic that our best player will start the process of changes. Well, maybe. Maybe, Andera. Maybe. I mean, maybe he, sometimes shit happens and circumstances change, man. And maybe he just feels like the direction of the club has really gone. Maybe he feels, maybe he doesn't feel the same way he did, when he signed the extension. And, because I think he was maybe thinking about leaving to a certain degree before the extension. He had talks with them. Maybe he bought into the project a little bit and he wanted to stay. Maybe now he feels disillusioned. Kind of similar to Marcus Rashford, that it seemed like he seemed disillusioned. Marcus is a little different because he came through the youth academy. And he grew up at Manchester United. And I think after a certain point, I think Marcus really felt disillusioned with where the club was going, which is why we see Marcus unhappy on the pitch and kind of just not the same player he was a few years ago, with sort of a different attitude. And maybe something like this happens to Bruno now because of what's happened. I don't know. We'll see. I kind of feel too that Amorim should have stuck to Ugarte and Cass. Yeah, I mean, listen, he went for the change and it didn't work. I think that's the team, Lyle, that if it was readily available earlier on in large parts, I think that's probably the team that he wanted to go with. But because there was certain Mount not coming back available until recently, so Mount wasn't really an option. So Bruno had to go up there, and then, you know, I think that's probably what he kind of wanted to do. Maybe he would change one or two around if there was some other options still more available. Like if Xerxes could play longer, maybe he probably would have started Xerxes or some shit like that. I think that's what he has been wanting to do for quite some time. But I think it was a bit hasty in it, in the fact that he was like, I have the players to do what I've kind of been wanting to do for like a few months now, but like that's not what got you here, and that's not what had you doing that sort of good performance. And he kind of just was like, he kind of just tossed that away and was just like, no, I'm gonna go with what I've been wanting to do, and it just didn't work out. It just didn't. That's to know leadership and taking control by actions first, and then ask others to match standard. Well, that's another thing I've been saying. Um, I've been saying that um, a lot of the players on the pitch, they don't listen. I know a lot of things on the manager, but at the same time, the players have to have responsibility on the pitch. They have to make calls. They have to take actions. They have to show leadership. They got to be their own leaders on the pitch. The manager cannot hold your fucking hand through every single match. The manager, we can't be putting in, a shit first half for the manager to hold your hand in the dressing room, tell you everything's gonna be okay, and tell you exactly what to do. And I feel like that happens a lot because these these players just they either don't have it in them to step up to the plate and accept the responsibility in the role, or they just don't have the IQ to pay attention to what's going on in game and make adjustments, or they're afraid to do it. They don't have the confidence, or they don't have the character to really do it. So that's as Pogba could have made Madrid easily. Well, probably at the time. I mean, before he came back to us, I mean, he was playing good. Probably would have suited him better. He was physical. I think he was still a bit slow for the Prem, and at times there was a problem. Um, but yeah, that was spot on. My pronunciation. All right, kind of spot on. He said, well, all right, not bad then. I guess I could add that to my resume. I speak South African now. Um, I speak three languages: English, Maltese, and South African. There we go. Andera says the trouble of doing that with players' wages for targets being missed is that you could have a good performers in the side that finishes below, say, 8th place. It should be around losing bonuses instead. Well, yeah, I guess maybe you're right. I mean, something to that degree, Andero. Something's got to be put in there. Um, something's got to be. We should be putting something in there. Maybe it could be a problem. You're right, but at the same time, again, this is a team game. It's a team sport. And you win as a team and you lose as a team. So, I can kind of make that argument as well. Tell them, well, listen, this is it's not an individual thing. If you're concerned about individual things, then this football club is not for you, because we don't want that. We don't want that mentality at this football club. We don't want individualistic minded players here. So if you're so concerned about your individualism, then go somewhere else, because we need to build a squad filled with characters that are here to play in a team with other people and for the club. So, I don't know. I'm not an listen, I'm obviously not an expert at that. It's not my job. I don't sit down and think about these things for like, days and weeks and whatever. Obviously, there's people that are hired in this position to do something along those lines. Whoever's in charge, whoever can make that decision, sit down, figure it out, something in some sort of manner in that way to penalize them. A lot of us hate to say it, De Gea saves that easy. I mean, I think there's probably a few keepers that probably save that easy. I don't really see how that was allowed to go in. And meaning that I feel very angry. I'm cock jaws. Cack jazz. You said it right. You would be a legend if you added to your vocabulary. But if I have some spare time, maybe I'll learn a little bit of South African. And De Gea could have made Madrid if not for fax machine. I mean, yeah, the fax machine, infamous fax machine. Um, African slang. Although I'm gonna turn you into a Cape Colored before I leave. We're being converted. We're being converted. At least we could get some laughs at the end of the show like today. So, listen, guys, a couple things real quick. Gonna fire it off. Number one, thank you guys for the support. Thank you for everybody that smashed the like button. I appreciate it very much and all that sort of stuff. To anybody that's new and subscribed, appreciate that as well. So shout out to all of you. Shout out to everybody that's here today, in the live chat on a day like today. You know, you guys are great, and I know it's tough to kind of be here and do this thing and talking about United 2 hours after it's been done. So, you know, it's a big problem. I mean, it's not big. I don't know why I said that. It's a big deal. So thank you guys. I appreciate that. So a couple things I need to update. Number one, we will do a live tomorrow. Friday, we got to see, because I know we do Freestyle Friday, but I got a schedule change in work, which I don't know 100% the times or what is going to come out of that yet. So hopefully by tomorrow, I should be able to let you guys know when we do the show. If I can't let you know by the show, I will keep you updated through the Discord, and then I will try to make a community post on the channel for the people that don't have Discord so that they can see the update. Because I have something coming up with work on Friday, supposedly. So I don't know what this entails. I don't know what time I'll be finishing. My hope is if it's normal hours, we should be able to do a Friday freestyle maybe at around 4 p.m. ish my time, which would be like 10 p.m. 9 p.m. UK. Wait, I got that wrong. Yeah, 9 p.m. UK. So I'll try to keep you updated. If it's not normal work time and it's extended beyond that, then it might be too late. So maybe we just won't end up, we'll have to skip this Friday freestyle. So we'll see about that. And the memberships are going live tomorrow. I know they were supposed to go live today, but I was already late. I wanted to do the show, and I was quite unhappy and angry. So I kind of just forgot, to be honest. I was just like, let me just get the show on the road. So those will be available tomorrow when we go live. Tomorrow we'll go live at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 8 p.m. UK. We'll be live for that. And we'll see what comes out of it. Because I'm sure now that this has happened, we're probably going to get a bunch of crazy, ridiculous updates and news tomorrow. So it's going to be kind of crazy. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it that I can think off the top of my head that I have to tell you guys. So Underos is trouble if you're having talks with players to come to your club. By the way, if you perform really well, but your teammates falter, you will lose some of your wages. Definitely bonuses there. Well, maybe good point. So Elias says, when you get the call-in working, we will train you how to pronounce our words. Well, the call-in, again, so we have a couple things that I think Lyle knows about, one or two of them, because we were talking about it. So the call-in thing, I'm gonna bring it in when I come back from vacation, because, well, let's see. I mean, we have a month left, so maybe we can do it for the start of the transfer window. And maybe we could do a show or a couple shows before I go. But then I won't be able to do the call in obviously when I'm away, because I just won't have the setup to do it. I'll be probably streaming off of my mobile phone, and I won't be able to actually properly do a call in thing. So part of me is like, I don't really like to bring new things in and then not be able to use them, like, for like the time that I'm going to be away. So I mean, we'll see. I think it's fine because actually it'd be good to get some call in opinions when we start talking about transfers and transfer news, which is obviously coming soon. So let me give it some thought. I'll think about it tonight and stuff like that. We'll see how it goes, and over the next couple of days, and I'll make a decision on it and let you know. Um, Worst comes to worst, I'll set up the call in when we come back, and it'll be ready to go for next season, so that people can call in. I was thinking probably we could do it for stuff like this at the Red Devil recaps. I'll kind of give my thoughts, and then I'll probably provide a good maybe 30 to 45-minute time slot for people to come in and call and voice their opinions on matches and stuff like that along the way. So we'll see. We'll see. There's a possibility I bring it in before, but if worse comes to worse, for the new season, we're gonna bring in a couple new things. Lyle's working on one or two things on some different ends as well. So yeah, that's we'll be okay on that part. So I hope we can do the Friday freestyle because I enjoy that. But I just can't tell you because I got a text from my my boss or whatever. He told me there's something that he's got for Friday, but he didn't tell me any details. He didn't tell me what time. And he didn't tell me. I don't know if it's like beyond Friday. I don't know what this really entails yet. So that's why I can't tell you. Otherwise, I would tell you, which is kind of annoying because I'd like to tell you so we're sorted out and straightened out. But I'll try my best to keep you updated. So hopefully we have that. Um, and then it depends how it goes from there because if it's Friday and I can't make the show because I have to stay late and then it's too late to do it. It depends what comes the next day because, well, does everybody play? Is the Premier League? Is everybody playing Saturday or Sunday? Um, the 25th. What day is that? 4 days from now. The 25th is a Sunday. So, Sunday. So if we can't do the Friday freestyle, because of the work, then potentially depending on what happens with Saturday, because I don't know if I'll have to work or not. We could try to do it Saturday. Um, if we can't do it Saturday, then we'll probably try and do something Sunday. Obviously after the match, because the match is at it's 11 a.m. for me, which is on obviously on Sunday, and then we could kind of just do um we could kind of do. I was thinking of calling it Sunday Fun Day. It's something that we have here in America, where we basically people go out and drink on Sunday and go hang out and chill. So I was thinking we could probably do something like that. We'll call it Sunday Fun Days, and we'll do a little bit of a Red Devil recap, and then we'll also just kind of just I guess freestyle it and spitball it, going from there. So I don't know. We'll see. But I'll try and keep you guys updated. We'll speak tomorrow. I gotta go watch my Knicks. The game's starting soon. So go Knicks. Thank you to all of you. If you want to just help us out a little bit more before you go, I know it's kind of a pain, but just, 30 to 45 seconds of your time. It is actually a big help to the channel. I don't just say this because, I like to say these things or whatever. It actually does matter. If you want to go underneath the channel after I end the live, get in the comment section and put in some comments. Lyle is the only one that's been putting in comments. And I feel sort of bad because he's the only one that's doing it. So I like that. Um, you know, so what the fuck is that? That's not me. That's from me. I'm sorry. I just got a text. So, yeah. So, If you guys could get to the comments after I end the live and just put in some comments, that would be massive help because YouTube does rate that highly. So I greatly appreciate that. Other than that, everybody, have a good night. Thank you for the support again. Love all you guys. You guys are great. You're always here, and you guys mean a lot. And I do really appreciate the support. So thank you guys. And everybody just try and feel better. Um, Try and get some sleep. Try and just I don't know, kind of get over it. And we'll speak tomorrow at the very least. So everybody have a good night, and we will talk to each other later. I'll pop into the Discord as well, but we'll speak. We'll be here. We'll meet here tomorrow. So everybody have a good night. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. Love you. I'm sorry United let us down, and I wish they gave us something to be happy about today, but these things happen sometimes. So just everybody just have a good night and stay safe and be good.